A President Donald Trump MAGA loyalist misgendered Delaware Representative Sarah McBride, who is a transgender woman, on the House floor. While presiding over the House on Thursday, Illinois Representative Mary Miller introduced McBride as the gentleman from Delaware, Mr. McBride, according to the Daily Beast, rather than take the bait. However, she opted to eviscerate the Trump cabal from a policy standpoint. The exchange came a day after Representative Nancy Mace from South Carolina, whose antics have defined her tenure in Congress, erupted into an anti-trans rant on the House floor that culminated in her shouting tranny, tranny, tranny. Before McBride had even officially assumed office, Mace had led a successful push to ban her and all trans women from using women's bathrooms on Capitol Hill. Mary Miller and Nancy Mace are pig cunts. That's the most disgusting word I can think of for the most disgusting people imaginable. Well beyond their treasonous devotion to Der Fuhrer, these women are just pathetic sacks of soulless garbage, exploiting Christianity on their good intention laden road to hell. It's Nazi o'clock. Time to woke up.
The following moments may contain explicit language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Back on July 3rd, 2024, Kevin Roberts of the very same Heritage Foundation that published Project 2025 said we are in the process of a second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. Today, on February 9th, 2025, we are witnessing a full-fledged, bold-faced, bona fide coup and dismantling of the federal government, courtesy of the Musk-Trump cabal, for which you voted. According to the Associated Press, in the 3 weeks since the Republican president has been back in the White House, Musk has rapidly burrowed deep into federal agencies while avoiding public scrutiny of his work. Staff members for his so-called Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, shamelessly named after Musk's personal crypto scheme, have sidelined career officials around Washington. The White House insisted that DOGE is extremely transparent and shared examples of its work so far, such as canceling contracts and ending leases for underused buildings. House Republicans said the Trump administration also discovered that Social Security benefits were being paid to a dozen people listed as 150 years old. So now, after eliminating all foreign aid and global diplomacy, all channels for immigrants to claim asylum, the Department of Education, civil rights, consumer protections, worker protections, and environmental protections, the next target is your retirement. It's been almost 15 years since George W. Bush crashed the economy and looted everyone's 401k. 15 years after his father, President George H.W. Bush, crashed the economy and looted everyone's 401k. And I hope you're not feeling entitled just because you paid into Social Security your entire life, because Emperor Elon sees a pile of money he doesn't own yet, and he's in the system. Republican senators like based Mike Lee are happily lining up to get their cut. Earlier today on Musk's social media platform, and I really wanted to stick a gun in my mouth before I even wrote this sentence. Musk retweeted Mike Lee's quote tweet of an earlier Musk tweet, alleging that the SSA was ripe for massive fraud, in all caps with 2 exclamation points and 3 dots, with the senator adding that Social Security is a ripoff for most Americans who can just invest on their own. So the party that just won power by telling us repeatedly that we can't afford to live day to day, despite the best economy in 50 years, is now telling us that we can still afford to retire as long as we figure it out on our own, living paycheck to paycheck at $7.25 an hour, paying for our own health care, with eggs $10 a dozen. Mike Lee knows he's full of shit. Republicans have all kinds of brilliant ideas, as long as you don't have math skills or logical reasoning. Whenever truth and facts blow up their propaganda, it always just ends up in an explosion of lies. Musk said last year it's not going to be some sort of secret thing. It'll be as transparent as possible. But it hasn't worked out that way so far. Musk has not spoken a word to reporters, has been blocked by House Republicans from speaking with Congress, and his job description as a special employee of the federal government remains top secret. Much of Doge's work is happening behind the scenes. Team members have shown up at the Department of Veterans Affairs, the Treasury Department, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, among other agencies. Their arrival is never publicly announced, and career staff members are looking over their shoulders for unfamiliar faces in the hallways. So after literally buying Donald Trump's his presidency, the unelected richest man in the world, who, because of his undermining Starlink negotiations with Ukraine and Russia, has already broken an oath he pledged to our Constitution to become a citizen, and now he's been granted total access to our government's technology to run rampant through our Treasury, emergency, and defense systems with impunity, and taking a wrecking ball to anything that helps anyone besides him. According to Time magazine, USAID leadership had allowed Musk's team, a group of his young and eager followers, to spend several days inside their headquarters at the end of January. The Doge Kids, as some of the staffers called them in private, walked the halls with clipboards in their hands, examining desks and questioning managers, according to several USAID officials who described the events to Time. But as the weekend arrived, their demands, including access to sensitive facilities designed to store classified information, went too far for the agency's heads of security. The men from Doge threatened to call the U.S. Marshals to have them clear the building. They also informed Musk about the problem. Musk then tweeted, USAID is a criminal organization, to his 215 million followers on his social media platform X. Time for it to die. The cause of Musk's crusade remained unclear, but within a week, nearly all of its staff were placed on leave, and its offices around the world were shut down. As the weekend went on, we learned that it was some sort of bullshit retaliation. The world's poorest children must pay the price for some phony propagandic lie about stealing land from white farmers in Elon's native South Africa. To top it off, after Trump offered the poor white South Africans of European descent asylum in the U.S., they politely declined, according to Reuters. So the same motherfucker that undid 60 years of civil rights by executive order on Martin Luther King Day is cutting off aid to the rest of the world because of a racism hoax in his largest donor's true homeland, and that's America first. I suppose that's what we should have expected when he stole his fucking mantra from the Ku Klux Klan. According to The Guardian, Russell Vought, Donald Trump's newly installed acting head of the U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, announced on Saturday he had cut off the agency's budget and reportedly instructed staff to suspend all activities, including the supervision of companies overseen by the agency. Reuters and NBC News reported that Vought wrote a memo to employees saying that he had taken on the role of acting head of the agency, an independent watchdog that was founded in 2011 as an arm of the Federal Reserve to promote fairness in the financial sector. wrote, who was confirmed on a party line vote last week to lead the Office of Management and Budget, also announced on Saturday evening on Elon Musk's social media platform X that he was zeroing out the CFPB's funding for the next fiscal quarter, saying the more than $700 million in cash on hand was sufficient. In his Saturday missive, Vought ordered staff to cease all supervision and examination activity, going a step further than a directive issued last week by the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, whom Trump had briefly put in charge after firing Rohit Chopra. According to an internal email obtained by Reuters, the Washington CFPB headquarters will be closed for the coming week, and all employees are to work remotely. The CFPB, which Congress created in the wake of a 2008 financial crash, supervises consumer-facing financial companies like banks, title lenders, mortgage originators, and cash transfer services to prevent unfair, deceptive, and abusive practices and other predatory conduct. Vought's order leaves much of that business activity without federal government oversight. Lightning changes in the agency policy also come as workers announce what they say is a glaring conflict of interest because representatives of billionaire Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency have gained access to computer systems at an agency that would likely regulate one of his pending business ventures as well as its competitors. In a Sunday statement, Dennis Kelleher, head of Better Markets, which advocates for stricter government oversight of the financial sector, accused Trump of throwing his own voters to the financial wolves. Kelleher said, quote, "This latest attempt to kill the Consumer Bureau is another slap in the face for all Americans who depend on basic financial products and services, but especially for those in the multiracial working class coalition of Americans that helped elect President Trump." CFPB has $711,586,678.00 of taxpayer funds earmarked to protect American consumers from grifts and fraud. Now, why would the ambiguously presidential duo have any interest in eliminating the agency that protects Americans from fraud? Gee, I wonder. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that Trump was convicted of 34 counts of fraud. After all, that was just a baseless witch hunt with evidence, witnesses, and a paper trail that convinced 12 jurors. According to BBC, Elon Musk has said he will rehire an employee of his newly formed Department of Government Efficiency who resigned after being linked to a racist social media account. Quote, "He will be brought back," Musk posted on X, the social media platform he owns. "To err is human, to forgive divine." Media reports tied Marco Alez, 25, who previously worked for Musk's SpaceX company, to a now deleted social media account that posted the incendiary comments. Vice President J.D. Vance had said earlier in the day that the young employee should be given a second chance. The account connected to Mr. Alez, first reported by the Wall Street Journal, posted a variety of inflammatory comments that were verified by the BBC as authentic. Quote, "Just for the record, I was racist before it was cool," read one post from the account in July. Another post in September said, quote, "You could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity." Normalize Indian hate, another post of that month said. All of the posts have since been deleted, but when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. You know, billionaires think you're stupid. Stop proving them right. If you speak the truth, you're always right. See you next time. Peace.